Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals, such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi, everybody. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. I'm here with Barb Desjardins, who is Mayor of Esquimalt. And we're going to be talking about the Esquimalt community, first of all, as a community, and then secondly, as the politics and policies of what's going on in the area. So first of all, how long have you actually lived in Esquimalt?
Oh, I've been here since 1989, and it's interesting because you talk to someone who's lived here most of their life and they'll say, oh, you're just a newbie. So even having been here 30 some odd years, there are so many families that have been here generation after generation.
Yeah, I've only lived in Victoria for 20 years myself, and I live in Machosen, and I'm considered a newbie as well, so I know what you're saying.
It's cute, though, because, they share knowledge with you and to help you understand the community. So the history is a real part of the fabric of the people of the community, which, really helps in terms of that close-knit aspect, that caring aspect of the community. And Esquimalt is its people. So although many of us are newbies because we weren't born here, we are welcomed with open arms. And
you have really active Facebook groups like the Esquimalt Community Connection.
Yes. There are many Facebook groups, everything from the Community Connection to, if you have something to sell, we have a page for that. And then there are groups for the Chamber and businesses of Esquimalt, and it goes on. And I think Esquimalt community is a really social media savvy community. I mean, people moving here, even within military, know to go to those social media Facebook pages and say, hi, I'm going to be new to the community. Tell me about something. And they'll get 45, 50 responses. They'll have gotten rid of their packing boxes before they even got here. So it's amazing, and it really just does speak to how people feel like they can engage right away.
Right. So how it came on my radar is my kids went to École Victor Brodeur, which is a French language school in the area, and there's a French immersion school in the area, correct?
Yes, at Macaulay School. They do French immersion, and then when it goes to middle school, then those students would transfer over to Shoreline, which is just on the border of Esquimalt with View Royal.
Cool. And then for high school, where would they go?
High school is Esquimalt High, or L'École Brodeur goes from kindergarten all the way up to 12. So lots of opportunities either to speak French or to do amazing things. Esquimalt High School just has such a diversity of programs. It is well known in the region as a very welcoming school and a diverse school. So you can do everything from robotics to sports to just clubs or just be yourself. And that's hard in high schools these days.
Well, I was a former high school teacher, so I do know what you're saying. I taught phys ed. So one of the things I do in the Esquimalt community now is I coach speed skating on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're always welcome to people if they want to come out and just try it. Any age. I started at, I think, age 49.
Wow. Well, you may have heard of my experience with speed skating a number of years ago. Dave Saunders, who was mayor of Colwood at the time, challenged me to a speed skating race. And I was new to being mayor, and I thought, this is important. Get out there in the community. This is a group that are in the community. I'm not a great skater on any kind of skates, but I picked up enough that I could go around the oval. Little did I know that Dave was actually a hockey player. And so he just blew me out of the water. But it was all fun, and it raised awareness, so it was good.
So what are the different areas of Esquimalt, and when you think about it, so actually from a real estate perspective, to me, Esquimalt is very undervalued because of its proximity, A, to the water, B, to downtown, and C, to now amenities which are coming available. So what are your favorite areas? I know you probably love all of Esquimalt, but what do you recommend when people come to visit to Esquimalt? What do they do for recreation?
Well, Esquimalt has a lot of diversity. So we have a walking brochure that highlights the various areas of the community, and that's probably the first thing that I would hand out to somebody new in the community. And in fact, I add it to my welcome package that I give to new residents. Sax Point has its own unique flavor. Between that and Macaulay Point, you can do that walkway, and it's tremendous. West Bay is totally different because of its water proximity with the marinas, and that walkway into Victoria is just one of the gems in the world, I believe. I used to live over on the Gorge side, and it often gets overlooked, but it is an incredible area. You know, the Gorge Waterway is also one of those gems, and having that park over there, it's a park that is underutilized. People don't really know it's there. That is the home to the oldest Japanese gardens on the West Coast. And we've restored them, and we're looking at doing other things down at that park. But the beauty of that park is just incredible. So every area of Esquimalt, there's an area over by the high school. And then there's the area over by the Graving Dock and Department of National Defense. All of them have such unique flavors to them. And then right in the middle, Rock Heights and High Rock Park. And I think if you look at how do we categorize these areas for Esquimalt, it's around the park, and so that public amenity. And we have everything from manicured park to wild parks. So you can you can experience just about everything. You don't have to go far to get a view of the whole region.
And around the Rock Heights area, as well as Esquimalt, you have beautiful, beautiful old houses.
Yes, yeah, we do. I mean, Esquimalt is one of the oldest communities in the area, and we're going on 117 now. But this was a community that was bustling ever since the 1850s or so because of the Navy and the use of the Esquimalt Harbor.
So talking about that, how does the military influence your community here?
You know, they are a part of our community, and they create community pride like you wouldn't believe. But it is, we look at it in terms of the history, we look at it in terms of the present, and we are very conscious of what their role is in this country. And I think you won't find a community that likes to stand up more and say, we support our troops and what can we do for them more than Esquimalt. We have a great relationship with D&D and the Navy. And as I said, there are volunteers. I mean, we wouldn't have our hockey coaches. We wouldn't have all of these people if we didn't have wonderful members of the D&D helping us out.
Yeah, I feel they really kind of bring in a new energy when they come in, right?
Very much so. And of course, they have a perspective of different areas in Canada and what they're like. And so, yeah, you get that flavor of, okay, different places and what our vast country is like.
Yeah, so there are a lot of natural harbors around Victoria as well. So there's also a unique sort of oceanside community at West Bay Marina, right?
Very much so. And, like in Victoria, that area has marina, but it also has float homes. And the float homes in West Bay are a little bit different than downtown. They're real homes. They're anywhere from 1,500 square feet up to 2,300 square feet.
And it's its own unique community.
It is its own unique community. West Bay, when you look at the type of housing down there, a lot of the homes are sort of little wartime homes that have been redone, and so it has its own little culture in itself. And then you add on places like Swallows Landing that have been built and sort of added into the mix, and yet it all fits together. And anyone who lives in West Bay just feels immediately embraced with the nature of the water. There's a wonderful dog park down there that everybody gathers in if they have a dog, and the walkway is one of the features of our community that people know about right off. If they're coming off a cruise ship or they're in Victoria, they'll start walking along that walkway and they get to the end and they're going, wow.
Yeah, one of the things that amazes me over Greater Victoria is how much the public has access to the public walkways along the water. So we really have a unique opportunity there. Where coming from Toronto, often it was commercial along the waterfront and stuff like that.
Well, and it's a matter of communities really looking and recovering those public spaces. And so the West Bay walkway is one of those areas that we have managed to preserve. Although it's not contiguous, that is still something that we hold in our official community plan as an idea for the future, and we will do whatever we can to increase that continuous walkway around McLaughlin Point and over to Macaulay if there's ever the opportunity. Connecting those parts to West Bay would be just an incredible feature.
So what about community events? So we have, let's just start. Actually, we're coming up to Christmas, so they're going to have the lighting of the ships, right? And then what other community events do they have in Esquimalt?
All of our events are put on by volunteers, and our staff and council supports through providing either in-kind support or monetary support, but we rely on those volunteers to go out and do the job, and boy, did they do the job. So we have Celebration of Lights coming up for Christmas, and what that is there's a parade down Esquimalt Road, and then we have hot chocolate and music and great fun and Santa Claus all at Archie Browning Sports Centre afterward. That's what happens at this time of year, but we have the Township Community Arts Council that has events all year round. So at this time of year, it's the Township Classics. Imagine hearing classic music up at the wardroom at the base. It is just phenomenal.
And an amazing view, too.
And another amazing view, absolutely. And there's something about that building. The acoustics are amazing as well. Through the summer, they do music in the park 7 weeks of the year. They've done Ariosa, which is aerial dancing in the trees in Sax Point. We have Bard Across the Bridge. And the list goes on and on. I mean, Ribfest. Ribfest is known now not only within the region, but certainly almost province-wide.
It's a big party.
It gets bigger and bigger every year. We have Buccaneer Days, which is more of that community flavor of, all of the community groups come out and they either make food or they sell goods. And it's their opportunity to fundraise for themselves, to continue to do the good work that they do in the community. Of course, we have a couple of military ceremonies that are very important. We have Remembrance Day that's put on by our Legion, and the base shows up in full force. And we also have a memorial service for the sinking of the HMCS Esquimalt, which the base has makes sure that they have taken that on to ensure that it is remembered every year. And I'm just touching the surface, and I know I've missed a number of events. The farmers market, well, how could I forget that? Every week in the summer, and then they move indoors. And this year they've expanded, so they were every week through the fall. Next week they have a winter market.
And it's on Thursdays, right?
And it's on Thursdays, 4:30 to 7:30. Food trucks, vendors. The vendors vary. So every week you go, you'll find something different. They have been voted best market in BC 2 years running.
You also have lots of things for young children here. So sports, there's the Archie Browning Arena.
Yeah.
The rec center.
Yeah. And the rec center programs are really focused on ensuring that we capture all of the groups of our community. Our demographics have shifted over the last few years. We've always had an emphasis on young people and seniors, but we're realizing that we have now a population that the last census, it was about 17,000. 12,000 of those are between 14 and 65. And when we look at the breakdown, we have this large bubble of young families. And then we have another 1/3 of the population over 55. So the programming that they're doing is everything from sewing to swimming, and really just trying to capture everybody's interest, even teaching languages. And we have a youth night at the rec center, and a youth center down in the basement, which is used as a multi-purpose center for them for arts and various things. So we have our library right here. I mean, you think of Esquimalt, within a 2-block radius, you have your seat of government, your library, your rec center, your sports center, which is the ice rink, curling, lacrosse,
rugby,
yeah,
speed skating, curling,
football.
It's an awesome place to live. Okay, so let's just talk. We'll just go straight into the second part regarding the policies. So you're talking about the demographics changing. So how's that changing the planning in Esquimalt?
Well, we as a community prior to 2016 showed no growth for about 10, 12 years. And we recognized that we needed to do something about that. And so one of the things that Council has been doing over the last few councils is really looking at housing and how do we increase the population, because if we increase the population, that will
increase your tax base.
Increase the tax base, but also increase the opportunity for commercial opportunities. And people were wanting more retail, those sorts of things. So we have done a lot of studies. We've reviewed our official community plan. And basically what we are doing, we have approved over the last 2 councils 1,400 units of housing. But those units of housing, because we're built out, we have to look at, okay, how do we...
Infrastructure.
We have to do it with infill. We have to do it with building up, so increased density. So we're ensuring that we're capturing families by including 3-bedroom units in condos as well as rental buildings. We're ensuring that we get below market rental all the way up to market rental. You can purchase. Our infill properties can still be single family or townhouse. So we've really diversified the type of housing, and that's because our community was already diverse and we want to make sure we keep that mix.
You use that word diversity a lot. What does that mean to you?
It says to me that just anyone can come and feel welcome in our community. So I'm talking about different age groups, different financial situations, different ethnicity. Yeah, absolutely. And you see that out in the community as you walk along.
I've really noticed it actually in the past 10 years. Like when I came into Victoria in 1999, to me it was very waspy, and now I find like there's great food. You know, the West Nile restaurant, there's Mexican, Greek, awesome restaurants.
Yeah, in the last few years, we've had a number of little cafes and restaurants pop up. To me, that's a real sign that the change has occurred and is starting, and you always see little restaurants come in first. You can eat around the world in Esquimalt.
Well, there was a thing that happened in Toronto called Caravan, where you could actually get a passport and go. That would be a great thing to do in Esquimalt. You can go to each restaurant.
You know, that's something that's been on our economic development strategy. And, you know, I'm sure it'll happen at some point because we're working hard with the Chamber of Commerce around economic development and with these wonderful little places that people come from all over the region to get into, you know, one of the 10 tables and chairs. There's a real opportunity to highlight that, as you say, through a sort of caravan. I love the idea.
We need some volunteers to do that.
Yeah, always. You come forward with an idea, we'll help you. But we rely on people in the community to organize these things, and they never let us down. I mean, we have even as far as religious groups in terms of the churches, they all have worked together to provide events like a free market. You know, if I call on them and ask them to help with graffiti, they've turned up. So we have such an array of ways to gather people together to help the community. It's fantastic.
Awesome. So we were talking about housing and rentals. What about price points? Are you guys getting involved in that? That's kind of always a hot topic for somebody who's a realtor, because the market determines the price. But, you know, in downtown Victoria, they've had some sort of below market sales of homes. Are you guys getting involved in that?
What we're doing through developments and development approval is ensuring that we have those varieties. So we have passed a number of projects that have below market rent, and that is determined by the province, and those are set. But we also want to make sure that we have that diversity all the way through the spectrum. And so, you know, we have done approvals of high value real estate as well. Esquimalt traditionally has been I'm talking to you, you know more than I do on this, but I think one, undervalued, but two, we have been sailing under our values have been lower. And that's, I think, why we've been so successful in getting young families in. When Vancouver families got priced out of the market, we've had a lot of young families move from Vancouver to Esquimalt. We've had a lot of young families move from around the region. And when I deliver a welcome package to them, I always ask, you know, why are you here? And invariably it's because I'm able to afford it better, but also they talk about the community. And it's interesting, as we're seeing shift, that is becoming a more important thing to people all the time. And what does that mean to people? Well, it's different to everyone, but the common theme is that they immediately felt like they were at home.
Yeah, and I find my role is, as we were talking earlier, is really a proponent of different communities and helping people understand where they're going to fit in Greater Victoria in terms of amenities and lifestyle and community and everything, right? Because when you buy a house, you don't just buy the house, you buy a home in a community.
Yeah, and you buy the schools that your kids are going to go to, and in Esquimalt we have a family of schools that are very tight. So you will continue through that family unless you decide to go outside your area. You will be staying with your friends throughout your whole school term, and that's amazing.
So what about, just to touch on a bit of a rougher side of Greater Victoria, what about the drugs in the community? Do you guys have any plans in helping people who are, there's some, I notice around around my kids' old school, actually.
Well, that's not unique to Esquimalt.
Yeah, I know. It's a Greater Victoria problem.
It's a greater... It's worldwide, and it's certainly BC-wide. First of all, we try and keep people off from going down that path, so the rec center programs, etc. Vic PD are our police force, and they do an awesome job in terms of really trying to help us keep that community policing feel. So it's, people also participate in terms of helping each other. We have the Esquimalt Neighbourhood House that offer the most amazing programs. They have a whole counseling program that is done through training of volunteers that really help people in the community that have mental health, addiction issues, try and keep them on the level. We don't have a lot of services actually provided in the community because we are so close to downtown Victoria. And it's not something that necessarily we have on our radar to add to either. But when there are situations,
the support is there.
The support is there, and it actually, again, it goes back to the people. I mean, there are a few people that we know are regular out on the street, and people pass by them, but for the most part, people don't pass by them. They talk to them. They find out what's happening with them. We have just recently worked on one of those people, brought in CRD, brought in the police, brought in all sorts of groups, and housed this person. So the community actually pulled up and said, we're going to help get these people the help they need.
Okay, so one last thing. Just talking about transportation around Victoria. So when the base gets out, one of the things that I found leaving here after 3 p.m. is really hard, and coming in at 7, because I come down to the Gorge and row every day. I'm just wondering, is there any plan, like maybe to talk to the base about staggering start and stop times, or can they do anything about that? Or is there going to be a bridge to the West Shore from Esquimalt?
Well, I'm not going to speak for the base at all. That is a decision that has been made, and they recognize the challenges because they'll hear it from their members as well. What we're trying to do is ensure that we have as many options as possible, and so that we have the ENN Rail Trail for cycling. I am a huge, and council is a huge proponent to get the ENN corridor going, because we know that is right outside the gate of Naden, and that would help in terms of moving people from the base in and out. And one of the other strategies we're trying to do is say, have you considered living in Esquimalt so you don't have to do that? And so we're working with the base to advertise what is available. So as transfers occur, people are looking at the opportunity of living in Esquimalt, so they're not part of that. We are on this side of water. We're surrounded by water, and so it's getting across a bridge to get somewhere, and the major highways are further out.
Yeah, so geographically there's just a bottleneck. You can't get away from it unless you put a bridge up. And I know where we are, which is close to Royal Bay, there may be a boat going back and forth, which would be a great idea.
And we're absolutely all over that as well in terms of support. In fact, trying to get more information on where that project is at, because a ferry from Royal Bay to Esquimalt makes a lot of sense when you think of how many people are coming around the corner. It's 2,000-3,000 people, and I might be on the light side there. 8,000 people come to the base
Every day.
and then go out. So we're looking at how do we help that. One of them is try and get them to live here. But if you can't do that, how else can you carry people in a more mass fashion? Buses are getting stuck in the traffic right now. So is the opportunities around ferry and around the train. So
I thought about having electric bikes or something where you have parking in View Royal right at near the casino type area. They just bike around because they pass the cars on the road, those bikes.
And they could use the ENN corridor and be right in. Yeah. I mean, if you look at and we are a walkable community as well. So walking is not hard from Victoria. Certainly if you're out in Admiral's Walk area. This region is very walkable. That's probably the hardest sell to get people out of their car. But we have to really highlight those options to people, and we continue to do that.
Awesome. Well, it's been amazing chatting with you. Really appreciate the opportunity. Is there anything you want to say to your community?
Well, I think that if I'm saying it to my community, just keep doing what you're doing, because we are just an amazing community. And if I'm talking to someone who's contemplating the idea of coming and being part of Esquimalt, come here and you won't go back.
Okay, if you want more information about the city of Esquimalt, talk to Barb, our mayor. And if you want more information about real estate in Esquimalt, talk to me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun. Take care and have an awesome day. Bye.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to VancouverIslandTime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.